Alright, what's going on, guys? Taylor going here. In this video I want to go over diet. So this is just an introduction to how I want you to prioritize the different categories of diet. And what I mean by that is, like, should we be obsessing over the food quality? Should we be obsessing over macros? Should we be obsessing over timing? What's the deal with all this stuff? And how does it all work? Where does it all have a place in your diet? So I want to go in an order of operations here, and this is the same exact thing that I use for my own diet. So when we try to prioritize, obviously, if we want to maximize everything, right, all of those things are very important. But both in progression and just having a peace of mind, we want to do one step at a time, okay? And the reason why, from a progress standpoint, is because in diet, we want to form new habits that are sustainable and are just kind of like easy and don't really feel like we're making big changes. So if we change our macros and our food sources in the same day, that's two very big things. And even if we're very disciplined, very good at sticking to a plan, that can be a little overwhelming because you are set in certain habits, both consciously and subconsciously, in your day-to-day routine when it comes to what you eat. So we want to kind of peel back the layers slowly so that we can promote progress for longer periods of time, which will result in more sustainability, more enjoyment, and better results. So here's the order of operations. First things first is your macros. Macros is first, right? If you can't hit those, you can't hit any of the other things, right? So that would be the equivalent of obsessing over, what's the best variation I should do for my squat? Well, motherfucker, you're not even lifting yet. You need to go in and lift a sufficient amount of weights throughout the week before you can even get any benefit over one variation over the other, right? So macros is the very first thing we want to worry about. And even in my own dieting, like right now, I'm getting ready for a world championship competition. I'm competing at the professional level in strongman at the highest level. And the very first thing that I'm doing is just getting my macros squared away, taking a little deload day or two, and then revisiting and going back to it just like I would in training. So, and for me, it's for sustainability. Like it's so that I can have success in my diet over the next 16 weeks, and so that I'm not like obsessing about the wrong things and putting energy into the wrong things. So I'm going to, for 3 to 4 weeks, I'm just going to focus on my macros. Obviously, I want as good of quality of food as I can, and I want the timing of my food to be great, but I'm just focusing on the macros, okay? So some days, literally, some days I had the worst sources and the worst timing, but it still works and it still gets the job done, especially if you're not competing at the top level and you're just trying to get better at dieting, you're just trying to figure your body out. Macros all the way. Like my way of thinking is try to shoot for as many days as you can, as many meals as you can, as good quality. But if you need to have a day where, or just a meal where, it's a burger patty from McDonald's and some cheese and some sugar, just like a Gatorade or literally some fucking candy, to exactly mix and match somewhat of a fucking meal to hit your numbers, that's okay. And I've literally done that for entire days. I've done that for weeks at a time. Shit, I did an entire 12-week block just to prove this fucking point. I did an entire 12-week block about 2 years back, and I hit all my macros. I hit the timing perfectly, and I hit the macros perfectly for 12 weeks straight. but I intentionally made my sources dog shit. The only sources I had for protein were Premier protein shakes. The only source for fat that I had were what was in the Premier shake and just generic string cheese, mozzarella fucking string cheese, and fruit roll-ups or Skittles. Like for 12 weeks straight, that's all I fucking ate, and I nailed everything perfectly. I hit the timing perfectly, and I got really fucking lean. And eventually, like I stopped because like, you push it that long, the qualities really meet the quality at that point. But it does fucking work. So macros is number one. Number two is timing, right? We're gonna time things so that we're feeding and nourishing around our workout, right? The reason why that's second to macros is because like I've had days where I ate all of my calories in one sitting and then fasted the rest of the day. That's not optimal for physique purposes. But again, it still works if you're hitting the numbers, okay? You might feel like shit, you might be very hungry, you might not have the best training sessions, but it does work. So if you have to take one day where everything except macros takes a back seat, that's fine. Second thing, timing, okay? If we time everything perfectly and we nourish our workout, you're going to get really good results, very noticeable results, even if, again, the sources are shit and if the macros are on, right? So, and I would even argue that you can time things really well and have the macros be slightly off, and you'll still see quite a bit of benefit in your physique. And this is more going to influence the quality of your training session, because we don't know exactly throughout the day when protein synthesis is going to take place and when your body is going to decide to recover certain things, but we know it's most of the breakdown and we know most of the adaptation that we want is around training. So the way we structure our timing through training is we build our day from the training session out, okay? So when we look at different sources of foods, like meats versus whey proteins or powders, extracts, whatever, same thing with carbs. We want to be putting the faster and the simpler ones towards the workout, and then we want to work out from that, right? So the way that I like to just basic peri-workout, this is the way that I like to start people off. And so usually I'll give them macros first, and then I'll give them this peri-workout without even structuring the rest of their day. It'll just be kind of the 4-hour window before, during, and after training. We'll nail that down, and then right there, that's a good fucking chunk of your day that we've built good habits and scheduling around. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm building habits in little chunks that are very sustainable, and usually they're really fun things that feel really fucking awesome and show you a lot of progress pretty fast. So you want to hang on to them, and so you can see how all this is kind of building together to make your diet very sustainable, very fun, and very mentally and physically healthy. So peri-workout, we're gonna do, a whole foods meal. I'm not gonna get into specifics about these meals, because I will discuss this with you personally. This would require specific macros. But, in an ideal world, 1.5 to 2 hours before your training session, you're gonna have some meat and some rice, or some sort of lean meat and a carb, some sort of whole kind of hearty food, a little bit lower on the fat end, and I'll get into that in a different video. But, you're gonna have a good meal there, and then, half hour to warm-ups, you're going to be sipping on a shake. You're going to be sipping on a shake that has some sort of protein powder, some sort of carb powder, maybe it has a little bit of fat. I would use like MCT oil or oats, or something that has just like a very quick fat that kind of complements the taste there a little bit, kind of slows down your pre-workout and your caffeine a little bit. but not much, not like a steak or something real heavy where it's going to be very slow digesting fats. You want that bit of fat right towards the close end of training to be very fast. And then you might have some sugar, right? Some fruit, some honey, combination of the two. And you're going to be sipping these things on feel, pre and intra, and sometimes a little bit post workout. And then your post workout is going to be kind of similar. It's going to be maybe another shake, more powders, fruit and honey, maybe some sodium, lots of water. But you can see how there's no direct, I have to have my shake 30 minutes before and then I start training. No. I am a very big proponent of comfort equals higher uptake. So that's why I like to say sip off a feel. I will pack a cooler that will have both of my shakes and it will have all of my fruit and my Gatorades or my intra stuff. And when I start getting ready for the gym, I start going off feel. Whatever sounds best in that cooler, I'll just start snacking on a little bit. And by the time I get home / 30 minutes to an hour, through my shower and I'm cooling down and everything, I'm finishing that cooler within that, 3 to 4 hours of pre-training to post-training. And like I said, it's off comfort. I'm not trying to force anything down. I'm just keeping myself very comfortably and simply nourished through that entire window. And that's going to give me the best results for pre, post, and intra. Now you want to let yourself, after that, this is the final portion to the chunk that we're working on here with timing, is let yourself go all the way hungry. Let all that stuff digest, let yourself almost get a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes I even get a little bit shaky, like I'm almost going hypo a little bit, but let yourself go completely hungry, and then we'll have our next whole foods meal. So when you lay that out, you've got 4 to 6 hours of consistent nourishment in and around your training, and the rest of the day is you might have 1 or 2 meals outside of that, and then we've nailed your entire day. And if those two, those 2 meals, they don't have much other times to go, so you're not there's not really any options for you to fuck up your timing there. So that's why I really like that approach of middle out, building your days middle out or training out, because you can really, really simplify and nail your schedule if you do it that way. And then finally, our third tier is source, right? Like I said at the beginning, we want the best quality of food. I really want to emphasize how important good quality food is. This is not a video justifying you eating shit. This is a video to help you ease your mind and to help you think through your dieting process so that you can repeat it over and over, and you don't need me to hold your hand, because really eating should be, unless you're at the competitive level, eating is something that I want you to be very comfortable with, as comfortable as any other simple brushing your teeth, tying your shoes type task. It's something that you can take pride in. It's something that you can take ownership in and really love to do, because of how it makes you feel and how simple it can be to manipulate your physique, and how empowering that is to learn how to just do that for yourself and turn it on and off like a light switch. It's really a fucking cool thing to be able to do. And so I want that to be something that you know how to do on your own. So yeah, that's the third thing is source. Obviously, every single meal we want to be good, but with life and whatever's coming up and just old shitty habits that we're trying to overcome, that might not always be sustainable. So it's just something to strive for. It's kind of like techniques, right? We want perfect technique, but perfect is a very black and white textbook thing that can't really be achieved. So we have to settle for excellence, right? We strive for perfection, we settle for excellence, because perfection is literally unachievable. So in order to not drive ourselves crazy and to not just be fucking unhappy and uncontent with what we're doing, we need to know that there's two parts. We strive for perfection, but we settle for excellence. We be content with the excellence, okay? And so let's review that. This is a very important video on dieting. Your priorities as my athlete are number 1, macros, number 2, timing, number 3, source. And it's actually nailing all of those about, 80%. And then we kind of come back through and nail them 100%, right? So you can see how there's multiple tiers of advancing this diet, right? And within those 3 tiers, there's way more tricks that we can do to manipulate these variables and get the most out of them, other than the examples that I named. Those are just kind of the main ones that I personally like to work with myself and with my athletes. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on this one. I'm going to do a video on how to actually calculate and determine your macros and the differences between males and females on that. So make sure you watch that one next. Again, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on this topic.